Good evening, all my shining stars. Back to our book corner. Let's get cozy. It was raining here not too long ago, and so maybe we'll get some nice rain sounds in the background while we read. I don't know. How was everybody's Tuesday? Mine was pretty good. I hope everybody had a wonderful day. And let's get back into Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And we had stopped into the second chapter. So chapter 2, the Pool of Tears. And we ended, I think, with this poem, which I really did enjoy reading. It reminded me so much of the movie, the Disney movie that I used to watch when I was a kid. So yes, at this point she is big, too big to fit back through the door to the garden. And she has seen the white rabbit running that he's going to be late to the Duchess. And then she begins to cry. She's thinking, oh my goodness, what's happened to me? I can't remember any of the things I learned in school. And so we'll start with the last sentence here. Go into the poem. Okay. So here we go, guys. I must have changed for Mabel. So Mabel was her friend that she said she didn't know much of anything. And that's how she was feeling at that moment. So I'm certain I must have changed for Mabel. I'll try and say, how doth the little, and then she crossed her hands on her lap as if she were saying lessons and began to repeat it, but her voice sounded hoarse and strange, and the words did not come the same as they used to do. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. I'm sure those are not the right words, said poor Alice, and her eyes filled with tears again as she went on. I must be Mabel, after all, and I shall have to go and live in that poky little house and have next to no toys to play with, and oh, ever so many lessons to learn. No, I've made up my mind about it. If I'm Mabel, I'll stay down here. It'll be no use their putting their heads down and saying, come up again, dear. I shall only look up and say, who am I then? Tell me that first, and then, if I like being that person, I'll come up. If not, I'll stay down here until I'm somebody else. But dear, oh dear, cried Alice, with a sudden burst of tears, I do wish they would put their heads down. I'm so very tired of being all alone here. As she said this, she looked down at her hands and was surprised to see she had put on one of the rabbit's white kid gloves while she was talking. How can I have done that? She thought. I must be growing small again. She got up and went to the table to measure herself by it, and found that, as nearly as she could guess, she was now about 2 feet high, and was going on shrinking rapidly. She soon found out the cause of this was the fan she was holding, and dropped it hastily, just in time to save herself from shrinking away altogether. That was a narrow escape, said Alice, and a good deal frightened at the sudden change, but very glad to find herself still in existence. And now for the garden. And she ran with all speed back to the little door. But alas, the little door was shut again, and the little golden key was lying on the glass table as before. And things are worse than ever, thought the poor child. For I never was so small as this before, never. And if I declare it's too bad that, and I declare it's too bad that it is. Never was as small as this before, never. And I declare it's too bad that it is. There we go. As she said these words, her foot slipped, and in another moment, splash, she was up to her chin in salt water. Her first idea was that she had somehow fallen into the sea, and in that case, I can go back by railway, she said to herself. Alice had been to the seaside once in her life, and had come to the general conclusion that wherever you go on the English coast, you find a number of bathing machines in the sea, some children digging in the sand with wooden spades, and then a row of lodging houses, and behind them a railway station. However, she soon made out that she was in the pool of tears which she had wept when she was 9 feet high. I wish I hadn't cried so much, said Alice, as she swam about trying to find her way out. I shall be punished for it now, I suppose, by being drowned in my own tears. Drowned in my own tears. That will be a queer thing, to be sure. However, everything is queer today. Just then she heard something splashing about in the pool a little way off, and she swam nearer to make out what it was. First she thought it might be a walrus or a hippopotamus, but then she remembered how small she was, and soon she made out that it was only a mouse that had slipped in like herself. Would it be of any use now, thought Alice, to speak to this mouse? Everything is so out of the way down here that I should think very likely it can talk. At any rate, there's no harm trying. So she began. Oh, mouse, do you know a way out of this pool? I am very tired of swimming about here, oh, mouse. Alice thought this must be the right way of speaking to a mouse. She had never done such a thing before, but she remembered having seen in her brother's Latin grammar a mouse, of a mouse, to a mouse, oh, mouse. The mouse looked at her rather inquisitively, and seemed to her to wink with one of its little eyes, but it said nothing. Perhaps it doesn't understand English, thought Alice. I dare say it's a French mouse. Come over with William the Conqueror. For with all her knowledge of history, Alice had no very clear notion on how long ago anything had happened. So she began, O est ma chatte, which was the first sentence in her French lesson book. The mouse gave a sudden leap out of water and seemed to quiver all over with fright. Oh, I beg your pardon, cried Alice hastily, afraid that she had hurt the poor animal's feelings. I quite forgot you don't like cats. Not like cats. Not like cats, cried the mouse in a shrill, passionate voice. Would you like cats if you were me? Well, perhaps not, said Alice in a soothing tone. Don't be angry about it. And yet I wish I could show you our cat, Dinah. I think you'd take a fancy to cats if you could only see her. She is such a dear, quiet thing, Alice went on, half to herself, as she swam lazily about in the pool. And she sits purring so nicely by the fire, licking her paws and washing her face. And she is such a nice, soft thing to nurse, and such a capital one for catching mice. Oh, I beg your pardon, cried Alice again, for this time the mouse was bristling all over, and she felt certain it must be really offended. We won't talk about her any more if you'd rather not. We indeed, cried the mouse, who was trembling down to the end of his tail, as if I would talk on such a subject. Our family always hated cats. Nasty, low, vulgar things. Don't let me hear the name again. I won't indeed, said Alice in a great hurry to change the subject of conversation. Are you fond of dogs? The mouse did not answer, so Alice went on eagerly. There is such a nice little dog near our house, and I should like to show you such a nice little dog. Oh, and I should like to show you. Sorry. The bright-eyed terrier, you know, with oh such long curly brown hair, and it'll fetch things when you throw them, and it'll sit up and beg for its dinner, all sorts of things. I can't remember half of them, and it belongs to a farmer, you know, and he says it's so useful, it's worth £100. He says it kills all the rats and... Oh dear, cried Alice in a sorrowful tone. I'm afraid I've offended it again, for the mouse was swimming away from her as hard as it could go, and making quite a commotion in the pool as it went. So she called softly after it, Mouse dear, do come back again, and we won't talk about cats or dogs either if you don't like them. When the mouse heard this, it turned round and swam slowly back to her. Its face was quite pale, with passion, Alice thought, and it said in a low, trembling voice, Let us get to the shore, and then I shall tell you my history, and you'll understand why it is I hate cats and dogs. It was high time to go, for the pool was getting quite crowded with the birds and animals that had fallen into it. There was a duck and a dodo, a lory and an eaglet, and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the whole party swam to the shore. And we'll just do that for tonight, guys. We have chapter 3, a caucus race and a long tail coming up tomorrow. And hopefully I will have time to read. And for chapter 2, here's the illustration. Alice and her mouse that she offended so terribly. And just a few more taps. I hope you guys have a wonderful night's sleep. It's so good to see I have a few more shining stars in my ASMR sky. Please let me know what else you would like me to do. Read, tap on, triggers you like. I do take requests. This lovely book was an idea and a request by the wonderful Christina Sophia, and I appreciate it so much. She's been with me since the beginning, these past couple months, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. So everybody have a wonderful night's sleep, and I will see